Hello and welcome back, YouTube. Today we are going to take a look at a heel toe spin. So for requirements, a heel toe spin is going to require you to know how to heel toe, and we'll take a look at that in a little second. And I want to right off the bat show you that it's not a tutorial on how to actually do like a stationary heel toe spin. There's a lot of tutorials on how to do this. This is how to incorporate a heel toe spin into a trick or a sequence while you're still moving forward. Okay, so let's take a look on how we do the wheeling heel toe first. Okay, so a normal heel toe wheeling, as it's called in slalom. First to define, a wheeling is a way where you ride your skates in an unnormal way. So like a heel toe wheeling would, like it suggests, be a stance where you ride on your heel and on your toe on the other skate. So when I go to do a normal heel toe wheeling, you'll basically see me just standing with my feet normally closed like I would when I'm riding forwards, maybe a bit of separation between the skates, and I will basically just pop into it. Now, this is when you've done them loads and loads of time, and it's basically just second nature at this point. But some few starting tricks on how to learn to ride in heel toe is really to learn how to just ride with your leading foot, and that's the foot you have in front of you, riding with the toe off the ground, so only on your back wheel. So this is something I'll suggest that you maybe get down. Also, it's a very important step to know how to actually control your heel toe, because you can actually also go slalom or snake, as it's called, in between cones, or just maneuver around and spin around. So get that good and down. Learn that when you turn your feet, like you can see I'm doing here, if you turn your feet outwards, you'll start to follow in that direction. If you turn it inwards, it's a bit hard to do when you're not on the toe on the other foot, but then you'll turn the opposite direction. So just know that the way you control the way you're going is by how your foot on the heel is actually rotating. Okay, so now you've gotten good, and now you want to just take the heel, and then you want to start and try and pop it up. So that popping motion is not something you should practice standing still, even though it might seem like it would be the safe way to do it, because the balance required is actually a lot harder than it is to do while it's moving. It is doable, but really practice it just going slow, slow, slow. You heel up and then try to pop. Okay, so for the pop, you're going to want to bend the foot that's going on the toe. Now the foot going on the toe is a bit, a lot of the problems, at least I see in people trying to learn this wheeling in the beginning, is that they'll think, oh well, the feet I have on my heel, that's straight, so should the other skate be, right? And then you'll end up 50-50 on your weight. That's really not the thing you're trying to accomplish. What you're really trying to do is just still keep that foot on the heel, but now you're going to bend your knee instead until your knees are meeting each other again, like they would when you're standing normally. So really, it's about riding nice and slow, and then keeping a lot of your weight on that toe foot. And then when you feel ready for it, let your heel roll a bit forward. And then while you're rolling forward with your heel, you're trying to actually open up your chest and get a bit higher. And then your foot should automatically pop into that heel, right? So standing still here. And then I'm popping up and bending my knee. So that's a very brief and not really detailed tutorial on how you do the heel toe. practice this and learn how to actually steer your heel toe as well. And then we'll take a look on how you actually do it spinning. Okay, now you've gotten that heel toe wheeling down, and now we're going to take a look on how you actually spin it. So the first impulse would normally be, well, I just steer it enough to one side and then the spin will come. That's kind of true, but what you're really looking at is actually learning to unwind that fixed position you have where your knees are touching each other in the wheeling. What you're actually going to do now is try and open up your hips a little bit. And I find it that a better exercise to understand how the spin is really done is by incorporating a heel turn. So I've done a tutorial on heel turn as well. Check that out if you need help on how to do a heel turn. So in a normal heel turn, if you don't follow that leg you're actually spinning or pivoting around, you're just going to go straight forward. That's the same concept if you're going to try and spin. You will just fall over. So you need to follow the spin into that pivoting leg. And that pivoting leg in a heel toe spin would be your heel leg. In that case, that's my left foot spinning right. That would normally be your right foot. So what we're trying to do for exercises, we're going to try and incorporate a little exercise for a heel turn to know how to do the first 180. And then we're going to do an exercise on how to do the last 180. Okay, so let's take a look at exercise number 1. Okay, so for exercise number 1, what we're going to try and do is half a heel turn or a 90-degree heel turn, transition into our heel toe, so we will then end up fakie. And this is just to learn how to do the starting rotation. So if I do half my heel turn, that's about there. Now what I'm going to try and do is to pop up into heel toe. And what you should at least focus on should be that your right leg is actually the one doing all the work, and the left leg should just be where it's at. It should rotate by itself. So really the last 90-degree turn of this exercise is actually on your toe wheel, where you just lift up your foot and then turn it around so you end up 90 degrees. So from that heel turn, you'll lift and rotate. So all put together, it should be a little like this. It's fine if you stumble, it's not really a trick by itself. This is just an exercise to know that motion. Okay, so now you've gotten that down, you know how to start your spin until at least a 180-degree turn with a heel spin and a pop to fakie. So for exercise number 2, we're really going to look at how you're actually landing this trick. If you go from exercise number 1 and you keep the position of your skate and start to tug in, you can basically go into spinning it as much as you want. But for landing it, we're going to imply almost the same technique. But in this position, what you're really trying to do now, that's a bit different from exercise 1, is you're trying to rotate both of your feet in the direction you're going to turn. So for that exercise, we're going to actually still use the heel turn, but what we're going to try and do now is rather shift our weight into the heel and then rotate, so we will end up fakie with our toe still pointing upwards. And that'll look a little bit like this. So I don't know if you're able to hear that click, but I'm actually setting my foot down as well. So I'll try to do it not facing you guys. So my heel out, and then I'm popping it out until it's in the 90, while it's facing you. When it's facing you, I'm putting my foot down and letting my rear foot still ride on that toe. So a little weight shift here, getting ready for it, and then tightening up my left leg and rotating on the wheels as they are. There's not really much more to it than that. So let me do a slow-mo version for you guys in both views. Okay, so now you're almost done. Now it's just a matter of putting it together. So what we're going to do differently now is that we're still using the normal method from the first exercise, where you go from a heel turn and onto your toes and the heel. But now we're trying to do it while we are on our heels and toes in a heel toe wheeling. So the concept is still the same, but it's going to feel a bit different. And it's a matter of just doing it enough until you get that second nature muscle memory on how you should actually do it. So now the first part should look a bit more like this. So basically a heel turn, but just in the heel toe wheeling. So you can start and try and follow that around. But what you'll pay attention to is that my feet are no longer in the normal heel toe position, just facing straight. My left leg are actually going 90 degrees from my right leg. So we're basically standing in a perpendicular stance, right? So I'm going to do that. And from there, you transition into number 2, where you actually just let your feet follow around until you're facing forwards again from exercise number 2. And voila, now it's a matter of just pulling your feet together, and now you've done a 360. So let me do a couple in normal speed while I try to slow it down, and then we'll do a slow-mo where it's pointed out what you need to do differently. Okay? And that's basically it. It's a trick I really like to use coming from pivots. It really adds that flair because you can actually go down from already spinning in a low position, go up high, and then gain even more speed from that rotation. Another use for it is also just as a single trick where you can keep comboing it while you're moving forward, and that'll look a bit like this. And as you can see, you can actually keep on doing that to infinity. A thing to look out for when you're doing this is to make sure that your leading leg, the leg on the heel, is actually being pushed a little along before you close your feet together again to go into the spin. The moment you're trying to set down your feet from exercise number 2, you're going to push your heel a little further out, and that'll add you that movement so you can actually spin while moving in a straight line. And again, I'll try to do it a bit slow. So I'm trying to push my foot out and making it a bit more obvious than it would be. Let me try and do that again. maybe a bit more centered in the camera. So really trying to exaggerate it now. Really letting my foot being pushed along before I really go into that spin. Yeah, I know this has been one of the longer tutorials, but it's a 2-for-1. It's also a mini tutorial on how to do a heel toe wheeling. Hope you liked it, guys, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Take care.